Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is now 9:01 a.m., and you are listening to and watching Good Morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. It's Friday, and we have a returning guest with a lot of good information, Simon Rodriguez, Director of City of Aurora's Youth Services.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy
Cheers
to be
to you.
here.
See, you got your
Cheers.
tea this morning?
Got some tea and got your coffee, so I think we're both good to go.
Absolutely, we're ready. Well, we've got a lot to talk about today in the time that we're going to be here, but we want to talk about, the events that you guys have been having. There's been a lot more rapidity with the events. It seems like the events are getting bigger and things like that. And I know that you guys had some recent successes. So let's start off with what's been going good, the last events that we've had, like the youth festival, the sports festival,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, how was that?
That was only a few months ago, but it seems like it was much longer just because our summer programs kicked off right after. But yeah, for those that are listening, I'm hoping, please drop comments because I would love to know if you ever participated in the sports festival. It is this was our 31st annual sports festival. So it was founded in 1995 by Al Miller, who is such a champion in our community, especially for athletics and keeping our kids, active and engaged. And that was under Fred Rogers, who was the first youth services director. So they started it. We've continued ever since. It's only been canceled, a few times for during COVID.
Right.
But other than that, it's an amazing tradition that has continued every single year, minus those years that I mentioned. And it is our biggest event of the year. So my team and I and our entire department from community services, but not even just that. I mean, we bring in, all these different departments from the city. It's an army of dedicated folks. Our community outreach team, our community events. We have APD, EMA, our fire department, our parks department. I mean, I could go on and on, but it's literally an army. Plus volunteers. We have folks that help out from the Neighbor Project. We have the Fox Valley Park District. So it is truly a community event where we bring in over 1,300 students, middle school students that compete in a variety of athletic competition. So all our middle schools in Aurora compete, and it's a phenomenal event, and it's a labor of love for sure.
Okay, yeah. As you mentioned too before the mics came on, love each other's shirts too. So the Senior Swing Scramble.
Yes, promoting this.
That. All right, let's talk about that.
I'm promoting this. So this is actually from our amazing senior and disabilities team with the city, run by the phenomenal Katrina Boatwright.
Shout out Katrina Boatwright.
Evelyn Mendoza as well. I mean, it's just a phenomenal team. Cindy Del Cid, who's our project assistant, also assists with that division as well. But again, it takes an army, but really it's that team that puts it together. I believe this was from last year, and I think this is the second annual. Please don't quote me, but I think this is the third annual, if I'm not mistaken. The Senior Swing event started as just another social gathering awareness event for our seniors. They're really Katrina and her team has done a phenomenal job of filling those gaps, of ensuring that our seniors in our community, those that still want to see opportunities and events like these available for them, right? So it's really great. Our whole team volunteers there. It sells out so quick. They have a few hundred golfers at Phillips Park. It's going to be this Monday, so it's already sold out, but. And then a lot of our community partners and champions that work with our seniors, our whole sponsors, and they have their services resource table set up. But it's a full day of just some, seniors being out there golfing, and they're phenomenal, by the way. My golf game is not good, but they do compete, and we got some amazing golfers out there. So
That's
really
awesome.
proud of Katrina. This is one of their biggest events of the year. So similar to us, right? But for our youth, they're really just advocating for our residents in Aurora and doing a phenomenal job doing that. So.
Yeah, the quality of life divisions or departments, rather, they've been doing a lot over these past years, identifying where the gaps are in the community,
Absolutely.
who needs that engagement. As we talked about on the show, a lot of times, a lot of our seniors are, the digital divide is very great between
Yes.
like ourselves and then our senior population. So there's a lot of information that they're not getting that you and I get. Facebook, we're savvy.
Yeah.
They don't get a lot of things. So to make sure that they're engaged is definitely important.
Absolutely, and you saying that really it reminded me of this past Tuesday at National Night Out. City staff, we kind of float between the 27 sites that they had at National Night Out. Great job, by the way, to everyone that put that on together. To put that
Saw
together.
y'all out there, man. Looking
Yeah.
good.
But one of my sites was Bardwell Residences, which was the former Copley Hospital. And, I don't sometimes in our jobs, we're just all over the place, right? But sometimes we don't get enough time to just chat with folks and hear them out. And I was actually able to talk to Becky Drake, one of the, the
Shout
folks
out
there.
Becky Drake.
Yeah, Becky, amazing individual. And the team there is phenomenal. But, for folks that don't know, that campus houses both senior residents as well as
Assisted
young
living.
adults.
Yeah,
Young adults, with various needs, but the goal for them is to live independently.
Right.
And so there's a lot of intergenerational experiences happening there, which I absolutely 100% encourage. There's so much that our young people can learn from our seniors. They still have so much to give. And I think back culturally speaking, in my culture, Mexican culture, our elders are very revered. We sit down, even as kids, we love to hear their stories. We love to hear their wisdom and their insight. And I think that does carry into our community as well. It's not just a cultural thing. I think it needs to just be an Aurora thing, a national thing where we really should, lean towards our elders and hear them out. And I think that intergenerational thing is so important. And when you talk about those divides,
Yes.
especially like a digital divide, what an amazing opportunity to bring our youth, who are probably the biggest experts when you really think about, this and just technology and how fast it's going, and even just thinking about like coding and all these really cool, concepts in STEAM. It'd be a wonderful opportunity for them to work with our seniors,
Right.
to bridge that divide. So I know that's been done, in the past. That's something that we would obviously look at doing as well with our senior partners.
Okay. But that information is online, correct? About the upcoming Senior Swing Scramble. Registration is closed for it, though.
I think it is closed.
Okay.
So yeah, but any questions, reach out to our senior and disabilities team,
Okay.
Katrina Boatwright, Evelyn Mendoza, or just call the community services line is 630-256-3400, and you can just reach out and ask for our senior and disabilities team. Again, they're phenomenal.
The time is 9:08 a.m. If you are just joining us, you're watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And we're here with recurring guest, friend of the show, and hard-working, dedicated Auroran, Simon Rodriguez.
Oh, thank you.
So, a couple things. This interview here is going to take a couple directions because in many of our conversations that we've had, not here or in the confines of city spaces, we've talked about things like the amazing things that do go on or are free,
Yeah.
but people have no idea about.
Yeah.
So what are some of now I see the work being done. I see what you do. We're in communication. What are some of the resources or untapped resources or perhaps programs that your department and the similar departments have for our youth that a lot of people don't know about?
That's a great question. I like that you pointed, and I'll be referencing, because I think one of the first things that our families should do if they're listening, like, how do you navigate youth programming and resources?
Right.
It's the same as if you move into any city. How do you navigate healthcare? Where do you go for recreation? All of these things. So we look at it in the same regard. When we're talking about youth programming, we do have what's called our youth resource guide. It's available in English and Spanish. We do have hard copies. We try to put these up at different locations throughout the community, but it's also available online. I think that's the most accessible way. The City of Aurora's website, recently redone, very user-friendly, but if you look at the different departments, when you go to youth services, it's right on our homepage, the youth resource guide. And if there's folks that have questions about it, obviously I can, I would love to answer those.
Sure.
But here we categorize just different programming services, whether they're after school, summer, some of our museums, the arts, health and safety, health and wellness is huge. It encompasses at least like 4 or 5 of our pages, just because there's so many resources out there. Sports and rec, early childhood services. So we really want to get a good grasp of what's out there. But also, if there are organizations out there that are not on here, first of all, I apologize. We're really trying to gauge as much information as possible so that we can include it in here. So this is, I always say this is a document that it will never be finished,
right?
Because there's always going to be more
a list that keeps growing,
and that's great, right? I want that to happen.
Right.
I eventually this might be like a really large book, and that's okay, especially because I think about families that move into our community, or maybe just families that are disengaged or disconnected from what's going on, and that we see that more often than not. And so we want them to be able to have a one-stop shop, right? And again, it's in English and in Spanish. So for our for our families, if there are some language barriers, we can address that as well. But yeah, if there are organizations out there that want to partner and be a part of this, the minimal thing that we want to do is get the word out.
Right.
Like you said, there are communication gaps, and as great a team that we have here at the City of Aurora, and folks that share in social media, there are folks that are not on social media. There's so much going on, so much, how many emails does people get a day? I'm like, oops, I missed that one.
Right.
It unfortunately does happen. So I always feel that is a job that we will always continuously focus on, is how do we get the word out to our families.
9:12 is the time. If you're just joining us, you're watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We're here with Simon Rodriguez, director of the City of Aurora's Youth Services Department. We are unfortunately nationally in a time of a lot of anxiety for many of our residents. It's a two-part question. How is that affecting what you and your team have been seeing or been experiencing, whether it's online or in person at events? And what can we do collectively, ourselves, yourselves, our organizations, what can we do to help or assist?
Wow, that's a great question.
I came ready for you, man. You're my man.
Yeah,
you
right.
Know that.
I was hoping for difficult questions, because that's important. But first of all, the first part of your question, what have we seen? Right off the bat, there is a lot of uncertainty when it comes to funding. It's no secret that at the federal level, they are gutting, funds that really truly help our community. And I'll give you some examples. So, there's a 21st Century, for folks, some of you might know, 21st Century Grant's a federal grant that funds in the millions, not just in our community, but across the nation, a lot, or if not most, after-school programs. So you think of, and we can talk about after-school programs, in a bit, but that impacts most, if not all, our youth definitely in our country, but definitely in the City of Aurora. So when those grants get removed or scaled back, funding gets cut at the educational level. I mean, without getting too political, we know what's going on in the, with the education department. That, if it hasn't affected, our everyone, it's going to.
Right.
So these funds, that are many of our school districts, many of our community partners do rely on, are becoming scarce. What happens then, Curtis, is I mean, there's different scenarios, but really I look at it. There's kind of two results of that. One, you have organizations that rely on those grants to pivot and make sure that they have alternate means of funding their programs, so that there hopefully aren't any disturbances or pauses in program, because again, our kids need these programs. Or two, the unfortunate thing is, like, if we relied on that huge chunk of money and it's now gone, and I'm not saying like it's gone like, hey, next year, for some, they know, like, okay, next year, 2 years, that funding cycle will be done. Let's work towards making sure we can fill that gap now, right? Which is fantastic. I mean, but sometimes there's situations, and it's becoming more prevalent, where like funding just done,
evaporates.
It's unfortunately not uncommon now to have a grant and then it just It's gone now,
That's
right?
right.
And when you think a lot about our, a lot of our nonprofit partners that I'm sure you've had on this program, it's very difficult to fundraise. I mean, that's if anyone that's ever fundraised, it's a very difficult thing, right?
Absolutely.
We all need assistance, and we all meaning all these different organizations and folks that are really doing a great job out there. So it becomes very difficult when huge pots of funds that were allocated are disappearing or are completely gone or dried up, right? So we're gonna see, if we haven't already, the effects of that, unfortunately.
Right.
So I think one of the ways that we're trying to navigate is looking at alternate, means. Are there state grants available? In our state, those seem to be a little bit more stable, at least from our perception, than at the federal level. Are there ways that we can collaborate with different institutions to collaborate on a grant, right? And look for, private sponsors and just different ways, to fund, each other. So I think that's obviously a huge concern.
Yeah.
With our programming, we also, we do get real questions asked by our parents when it comes to situations that are going on in our country, and their genuine fear, for what's happening.
Right.
And, it's, my heart goes out to all our educators, that are there in the trenches every day. Right now we're summer, but, back to school's coming up, right?
Right, yeah.
And I remember, I was before this, I was teacher at East Aurora High School, go Tomcats. I remember teaching from 2014 through 2018, and, some of those years were very, very difficult. The anxiety in our country definitely, it was extremely visible when with some of our students, and we had to find, and that's one of the beauty and one of the miracles, I'll say, of our educators, is those are the things that sometimes, like, how does anyone deal with that? How do you try to create an environment of hope for our families, for our kids? It's not an easy task, and I think that's one of the, again, miracles of our educators that we don't give them enough credit for.
Right.
Not just our educators, but all our partners. We're talking about non-for-profits, right?
Absolutely.
Those that provide programming for our kids in our community, that they're the unsung heroes. So when you talk about the anxiety that is real in our community, a lot of it does fall on, the shoulders of these community giants.
Right.
So, and it's an ongoing task, right? But, and I don't know if my words would ever bring comfort, but I just know that we do live in a community that cares.
Oh, yeah.
We do live in a city that values, our youth. Conversations I've had, even especially recently, with a lot of our, community leaders, in education, are, they're really focused on how can we improve, the lives of our kids and give them opportunities, because it's a cliche, but it's so true. They are the future of our community. Mm-hmm. These are going to be the future, folks that are going to be running, our local government and businesses and taxpayers and all these things that we think about that makes all of this work. That's going to be them.
Absolutely.
Right? And if we're not investing in them, we're not investing in the future of the city or our country. So
right.
I don't want to get on a huge soapbox there, but that's the reality. And I think that's what makes what we do so important. That's what makes what our school districts do, what our nonprofit partners, the park district, the library, everything they do, when you really think about it, at its root is building a foundation so that this community is as strong as ever.
Right.
And we leave all of this for the future generations in the best possible way that we can.
Yeah, what we've tried to do is highlight, enhance, or I guess put a permanent presence to the nonprofit community that we have here in Aurora through this program. From the Community Foundation to Fox Valley United Way, we've got so many partner friends and organizations. And these are the kind of conversations, that's why I asked this question. These are the kind of conversations that are right now driving some of the programs and events that folks are trying to do in the next few months. Head counts, I've I'm privileged to sit on a few boards, but headcount in a lot of our activities is down.
Yeah.
The in-person headcount.
Yeah.
Folks are really, they don't want to risk it coming to the free event for Nicor Gas and Liheap.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
It's a great,
and it's sad because
it's a great point that you're making now.
During the COVID era, we pivoted to the online model a lot. Then we started getting out of that.
Yeah.
Now we're seriously considering having every one of our events be a hybrid activity with the option of being in person. So it's really tough. 9/21 is the time. What is the next? So it's August now. What's the rest of the year look like for your team?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's crazy that we're halfway through the year, but our busy season really kicked off in April, but definitely May with Sports Fest, and then our summer program. So we've been very busy with our summer camps, end of camp celebrations, which I love. I took from the page book of Fred Rogers, where you end the camp in a big celebration and thank the kids for creating great memories. And then we do have our one-off events here and there, but I mean now really as a community we're gearing up for back to school.
Right.
That August anxiety, as I call it for some folks, does kick in, right?
Yeah.
And our teachers, my heart goes out to you all because I know what it feels like. I remember August 1st of every year, I love teaching, but man, that little, okay, summer's about to end, and we're going to have these new
I like
crop
how your
of
watch
kids.
went off right at that moment.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
That was...
I think that was my wife. I think she said hi. Love you.
That's how you see.
So it's back to school month. So we really try to champion and advertise a lot of the events that are coming up. So I know there's a First Ward and the sisters of Sigma Iota Alpha.
Shout out.
Yes, good friend Jasmine. They're going to host their back to school event at Garfield Park this Saturday.
Okay.
And we posted that on our Facebook page. I know last week Alderwoman Shweta Bade had her 10th ward.
Shout out Shweta Bade,
yes,
for real.
Ice cream social and back to school event. So I know Ward 2, Juani Garza always has her annual ice cream social at McCarty Park. I know that there's the 7th Ward will have theirs back to school bash at the MLK Park. Continuing the legacy of our dear friend Miss Chiquita Hart Burns. So and we're going to actually partner with the library. The library is having, I think it's called their Fresh Start event. It's on August 16th. I think it starts at 1 p.m. at the library. There's going to be free haircuts, free school supplies, free headshots, which is really cool. Those my sister's in the industry, so headshots are not cheap, folks. So take advantage of getting those professional shots for work, for school, college students, right? I think that's phenomenal. So we're partnering with the library. We're going to be one of many partners at that event. So shout outs to them for putting on that event. It's great. So we're really right now, we're just really getting the word out to folks. Back to school is pretty much in full swing. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some, school supplies, haircuts, other resources that are going to be at these community events. So we really want folks to come out. I know East Aurora and West Aurora school districts have their separate back to school events for their students.
We will be at East Aurora's tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. Yeah, so things are coming up, right? So I highly encourage families to follow the social media pages of all these organizations to get more information.
Absolutely. All right, so we are going to start wrapping this up. I want to say thank you very much to Simon for coming back on the program, man.
Oh, man.
Always a pleasure to have you on.
Yes, always good to see you.
Absolutely. And again, the questions today came from a place of empathy, but also trying to help our community. When it comes to the organizations and the different resources that you see out there, anything that we post on our Facebook page, please take heed to it, share it. Anything you see the City of Aurora post on their Youth Services Department or their Facebook pages, please share that information. Take advantage of the free programs and resources that are going on.
Absolutely.
We try to lead with empathy in everything we do. From the Neighbor Project and your team in the city have many collaborations. So the idea is that we want people to be safe, feel welcome, and be comfortable with the information that we share. It's for everybody. So
absolutely.
Happy Friday to everybody as well. I haven't been in this chair in a minute, man. We've been
Yeah.
doing things. This has been
You've been on about, right? I haven't sat in this chair in forever too because
the last time I saw you was out and about, like with the van. You had the van many different places.
Oh
and
yeah,
doing
yeah.
stuff, like
Yep.
on the move.
We're all over
man.
the place, and I wouldn't have it any other way. You cannot serve our community if you're not out in the community. And that's not like a dig on anyone. That's literally like a very motivating thing. And a lot of our partners, it's the same thing, man. I see a lot of folks out there. Aurora, as big as a city as it is, it's a small town feel because it's the those champions that I mentioned that are consistently out there, out in the community. Boots on the ground. And we're both military guys, right?
That's right.
That's what it is, man. That's the way it should be.
You got to. I'm proud to eat lunch in my car. Okay.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys enjoyed this morning's episode. Please have a safe weekend, a prosperous weekend. Enjoy the different various events that are going on for back to school. And Good Morning Aurora will return Monday with more news, more everything, and the very best of Aurora. Take care of yourself and each other.